How do you decide if digitizing your records is worth it? Well, the first is to understand what digitizing means. So at a very high level, you're taking something from analog to digital. You're crossing the river from analog to digital. You're just making something into an electronic format. So you have hard copies, physical copies, and you want them easily accessible. You want to turn them into a digital file. So with that out of the way and keeping that in mind, all these other things that make it worth it are tied to that higher level goal. The first benefit you're gonna get from digitizing is you're gonna save money. Now, it may not be the upfront cost because you're gonna have to spend money to get the records scanned, to get them converted to a digital format, but over time, you're actually gonna save more money. One way is because you're not gonna be handling the physical copies. So you think about what it takes to get a record, find it, refile it, scan something, send it to a client or a staff member, someone that needs that copy. It's a lot of work that goes into that physical record, but once you digitize it, it all collapses on time. It all shrinks in how much effort it takes because it's digital. It's just much easier to find. It's much easier to use, to send, to share. So even though you're spending money up front, over time, those 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour a week that you're spending doing filing just goes away, and that's put towards a better use, a better activity, instead of just finding the record and doing things over and over. So yes, you spend some more money up front, but then in the long term, you're saving money by digitizing because you're not spending the time and labor continuing to use the hard copy records. Number two is you're gonna increase efficiency and productivity. So tying back to, let's say you work in a registrar's office at a college. They call you, say, hey, I need my student records. So you have to go find it, you go to a filing cabinet, it's either paper records, you find a folder, you scan them, you email them, or maybe it's on microfilm, so you go to the cabinet, you find the roll of microfilm, you start scrolling around on the roll, you're looking, okay, there it is, you have to export it, then get that USB drive, get that file into an email, or maybe print it out and mail it to the person. That's a lot of lost efficiency and lost productivity because you're just bopping around finding the record, spending 20, 30 minutes to find one student record instead of doing other things that are tied to your job. So when you scan the record, instead of that whole scenario we just went over, imagine you get the call, you just go to a digital document management system, whatever you're using, you find the person's file, and then you email it to them, or you print it out and mail it, however your process is done. But that whole 20 minutes is shrunk to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. So you're 10xing your efficiency and productivity by not having to deal with the hard copies because you already digitize them. It's just much easier and more efficient using the digital files to find that record and send it to the requester. Another benefit, which is number 3, is reducing your risk of loss. There's an old saying that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And then what that means is if you have one of something, one copy of your files, it's really like having none, because if something happens to those, you don't have a backup, you're out of luck. So if you have 2 copies and something happens to one, you have let's say you have 1,000 microfilm rolls, but you have 2 copies of them, one copy gets destroyed at a building because it catches on fire, but you have another copy, you're safe, you're happy, you have that backup copy. But having hard copy backups is not exactly the most effective way to do it because it's very cumbersome making duplicates of microfilm, or let's say you have 500 boxes of files. Are you really gonna make copies of those boxes just for storage? Very likely not. So by digitizing, you can make as many copies as you want. If you're using a hosted platform, let's say you're using our Digital Reel secure application, we're automatically colo syncing, dual hosting your records in geographically separated areas. So you have 2 copies immediately. Plus, you might get what we call cropped images. Maybe we deliver those files as PDFs or TIFFs or JPEGs. So you have that copy plus the 2 hosted copies. Or if you're not using our system or you're not using any hosted system, at least you have a digital file. You have a USB of the 500 boxes of files you scanned. You can just make copies of those, make a duplicate, make 3 duplicates, make 4, and put them in different locations, put them in different areas, different offices. So there's a copy in multiple places. So if you drop one and it gets broken, well, you have 3 other copies, or someone loses it, you have other copies. So you're not relying on that one copy, that one storage location where the physical records are, to be the only record you have if something happens, like a disaster, a flood, a fire, something like that. Another reason to digitize, number 4, is you are modernizing your organization. So you go back to getting a request to go find a file. That's a pain in the butt already. But imagine you have to collaborate on something and you have one physical record. Yeah, you can make some photocopies of it and hand it around, but then you're all working off of different versions of that record. So collaboration is much better with digitization as well. So you could take a digitized file, maybe you're using a document management system, or you just have it on your network share drive, maybe you have SharePoint, something like that. And you can collaborate on the file with multiple people and have a single source of truth. So it's a collaborative ability with the digitized files instead of having, well, imagine one roll of microfilm that multiple people need to work on. You're a police department, you're working a case file, a cold case, but you can only one person can view that microfilm at a time. That's going back to inefficiency, it's very inefficient, and you're not able to use these records to the best of their ability. So modernizing your organization by digitizing your records improves collaboration and just improves what your team can do. Another thing with modernizing is if you have back files, you have old records, microfilm, microfiche, aperture cards, paper files, books, oversized books, rolled plan sets, things like that, you probably already have digital files and a digital system. So you actually have two different types of records management tools. You have the hard copy and you have the digital copy. So to make a single source of truth by digitizing, not only do you improve the collaboration and whatnot with the hard copies because now they're digital, but you get all those hard copies in a digital format into your existing system, which allows you to have a single source of truth. So you're not using basically two different systems, digital and analog. You have one system, digital, and then going forward, you just continue to scan on a smaller basis, kind of go forward basis, to keep that single source of truth and the effectiveness of your team. And lastly, number 5, you're reducing or saving space. So you go back to that 500 boxes of records or thousands of rolls. Those have to go somewhere. If they're off-site, maybe you have a record storage company holding them. If you need those records, you have to call them, request the record, either go get it or they send it to you, or maybe they scan them onesies and twosies, very expensive, and you're paying them for the space. So that may be an option. Or if they're in your office, in your department, maybe they're taking up an entire storage room and they're just boxes everywhere, cabinets everywhere. So you're paying for that space, not the record storage, but even internally, you're paying for that space because they're just hard copies sitting there. Instead of utilizing the space, maybe you have an additional employee, or you could put some other tools or use that space for something else more productive than just storing hard copy records. If you digitize, you can get rid of those cabinets. You can utilize that storage room or that office room. Usually we see a lot of just rooms, not even storage rooms, just office rooms. Offices use as storage locations. You can clear that up and utilize them for other purposes. Or if it is offsite, yes, you're paying probably a small amount over time, but when you have those requests, you have those polls, that starts adding up. You could scan those records and be done with it and not have to have that almost forever cost of paying for storage. So now you have some reasons that can help you decide if digitizing your records is worth it. Another thing you should check out, another video that I'm gonna link here, or it's linked in the video here, are 4 mistakes that cause scanning projects to fail. These are things you want to avoid. So if you're thinking about digitizing now, you have the reasons that are worth it. Check out this video to make sure you avoid these 4 mistakes.